In my last video, we started the process of building a brand new lovely swamp for Sadie the saddle-bill stork to live the rest of her life. Join me today as we work on the next step of the process of making thread lace, or in this case, maybe it's called thread grass. Hey guys, welcome back to Frances Quilts. Well, today we are on part 2 of making thread grass so that we can give Sadie the saddle-bill stork a new home. If you missed yesterday's video, I'm going to put a link right here so that you can go and check that out and see the first step before you see the second step. Seeing what we did yesterday is definitely going to make a lot more sense when you're watching today. So let's just head to the machine and start stitching. Now it was time to move to the machine and start doing some stitching. I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing, so I just loaded up some thread and I just started stitching. And I am stitching as fast as my machine will go. I do have a sit-down long arm, and you can bump that speed up really high, and I will tell you I'm going just as fast as I can. I started out just doing some straight stitches back and forth, going over those lines just a little bit. I know that to make this lace, I need to have every line, or almost all of the lines, connect with another line. Otherwise, I'm going to have big gaps in it. So the idea is to have, if I have a lot of lines going straight like this up and down, I need to have some lines crossing over as well that will help attach those lines together. So I'm making this lace, basically. It's going to be grass, but basically I'm just making a lace here. This was not as easy to do as I thought it was going to be. The Vilene kind of stuck to the bed of my machine. I am using a super slider here, but even with that, it still seemed like it was a little bit hard. I had to do some tugging on it. As I did more, it got easier, probably because the thread, the bobbin thread, was covering a lot of that Vilene, so it wasn't quite as sticky as it had been. So just kept on going here, and this took quite a bit of time to do. I spent several hours doing this particular piece. When I finished an area, I kind of started in the middle and worked my way out to the side. I went up and I started another area up above, going back to this kind of the center there again. And you see this time I'm making sure that some of my stitches are going down into the section that I did before. And at this point I'm just using the one thread, the one variegated king tut thread, and it's working very nicely. I could have made stitches going all different directions here, but I'm thinking about it that it's going to be grass, and so most grass goes in one direction. Yes, there are some pieces that are going to go off to one side or the other, but I want to try to keep it all going in the same direction as much as I can. There are a few stitches there going sideways just to help connect them in. I have to have something that's going to hold it all together. So now I'm just going over stuff again. I'm not worried about any of this stitching because one line that I stitch is not going to show when I'm through. So I'm just moving that piece as quickly as I can to put as many stitches in it as fast as I possibly can. And honestly, I got even faster as I went. I also realized that I needed to have some lines on the sides to connect all this together, or it was going to probably fall apart at the bottom. So I did go back in and just do some stitching lines going across the bottom all the way, 2 or 3 lines just back and forth. Those are going to be cut off, but that gave it somewhere that it kind of held that stitching together there at the bottom, and I also did those on the side. So again, you can see as I stitched longer, I got freer with my stitching. My lines were longer, and I just didn't worry about it. Here I'm trying to move into a new area, so I just did some zigzaggy sort of lines till I got to where I wanted to go, and then I covered them up coming back. I did find it was easier to do it in sections rather than having the entire piece staring at me, so I kind of divided it off into areas, and then we just stitch an area. When I got tired of stitching it in one particular direction, I'd turn it and stitch it somewhere else, just trying to get some variety in there as I stitched. And going along that bottom just to give it a place to hold on to, so when I rinse this out, I don't lose all of the edges at the bottom. I did have some issues with the sticky Vilene making my needle gum up, and so what I ended up doing was, here I was just trying to use a tissue to clean it. What I ended up doing was getting a little bit of rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip, and I would just clean it off very carefully. I had to do it quite a bit initially. It got better as I went along. I'm not sure if my needle got more used to having the sticky gunk on it or if I just quit worrying about it. But that was the only thing that I didn't like about this, was having to stop ever so often and clean that needle. All right, it looks like a little bit more than it did yesterday, but it still looks like a pretty big mess, I think, anyway. But I guarantee you tomorrow, when we wash it all out, the magic is going to happen. Since I know you're hooked on this process now, and you definitely don't want to miss the big reveal tomorrow, be sure and hit that subscribe button so that you will be notified when that video comes out. I know that these videos have been kind of sketchy on details, just simply because I didn't want them to be 45 minutes each. But if you want more information about this process, be sure and go to my blog, which is francesquilts.com/blog. I'm giving lots more information there about the process and having links to some of the products, including the washout Vilene. It is just a fun technique, and I can't wait to show you the big reveal tomorrow. So as usual, thank you for joining me here today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Frances Quilts. Remember, if you like what you've seen, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please check out my website and daily blog at francesquilts.com, and I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Frances Quilts. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.